Here at one of our storage facilities in London. Behind me there are boxes with humanitarian aid, including tactical medicine items.
I'm Andrei from British Ukrainian Aid, and here you can see the components that we put in a first aid kits that will go to Ukraine to save lives.
We have an army of volunteers who are helping us. They volunteer to drive the boxes and pallets to the Polish-Ukrainian and Romanian-Ukrainian borders. Then they are sent to a distribution center in Lviv, and from that point further on to Kyiv and the Kyiv region and Kharkiv region.
Ukraine is a country of people just like us. Dancers, musicians, artists. Today, let's send them our love and support through British Ukrainian Aid's essential medical supplies, saving lives and treating horrific injuries, so that one day soon, not too far away, they can be dancing again. Please give generously. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. It's us, TSFP, the Spanish Football Podcast. I'm Phil Kitromilides, that's Alex Kirkland, and that is Peter Debrosky, aka Dr. Sid Lowe.
Hello.
His very
How you doing?
Real Oviedo tracksuit top. Get involved, we're going to be here for an hour. We'll talk about basically whatever you want. Please send us your comments, and we will if you've got questions, ask us questions. If you've got comments about anything, basically get involved, because we're here just to spend a good hour talking about Spanish football, and yeah, basically we're trying to raise money. We to be honest, we'd rather not be doing this, because this is happening because something really bad is happening in the world. So the idea is to try and raise money for a really serious and important cause, which is why we're here. Thank you very much to everyone who's donated so far. If you haven't donated, click on the link. It's very easy.
I'm just doing it now, Phil, just to prove how easy it is. So you literally just on the YouTube player, open it up. Even me, who is of course tech savvy, is not really my thing. Click on the link on YouTube. It will say just before you continue just giving, accept the cookies. And then on the right-hand side, it just says give now. Click on give now. I'm just waiting for the little
I'm loving this explanation from Sid. This is brilliant. This is what you were born
donation
to do,
amount,
Sid.
and it's got the donation amounts there. All you need, of course, I'm just opening my wallet. Should I really be doing that? I shouldn't, should I? But anyway,
don't read out your credit card number and the three digits on the back.
One of those things, and then it's very easy.
So it's really easy. We're currently at 370 the total. All right, £370. We can get more than that, I'm sure. When we hit £500, we want to hit £500. Okay, when we hit £500, we're going to do a raffle. We've got some giveaways, we've got some prizes, we've got some TSFP merchandise, we've got a goodie bag, basically, of stuff.
We're going to have a rummage around the TSFP archives. We've got some mugs, we've got some TSFP coasters, some stickers, I think some notepads, maybe some books, all sorts of lovely Spanish football bits and pieces.
Yeah, I mean, the verb rummage around sort of downplays what it is. I mean,
because right now I genuinely can't remember where they are. I think it's in my storage closet.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, TSFP Pals
you're killing the vibe a bit, Kirkle.
Yeah, TSFP Pals is such a big place.
A deluxe hamper.
Thank you. Spanish football hamper, deluxe Spanish football hamper, which we will give away.
Should we do the asterisk here and say may not include ham? Do not believe that because it's a hamper, it's going to include ham.
You've got a lot of ham in that garage. Everybody knows it.
I tell you what, I'll go and have a look. I don't think there's any ham left, I'll be honest.
So once we get to £500 of your donations, we will give that away. But if we don't get to £500, that hastily assembled bag of the amazing giveaway. I'm joking, it's good stuff.
Also,
stay with us. So,
by the way, stay with us. Stay with us, because we will keep you up to date with the scores. Now, this is probably, strictly speaking, counts as piracy as far as La Liga is concerned, but we will be keeping you up to date with what's happening. We're in my house, we're double screening anyway. We're double screening here, so we will be keeping you up to date with what's going on in both Villarreal Valencia, which is currently Villarreal 2, Valencia 0, and in the Betis game. Betis have put out a surprisingly strong lineup.
Yeah, don't do any piracy, Sid. That will get me sacked.
I'm definitely not doing piracy.
We're not.
Kitro does not condone piracy for the avoidance of doubt.
Not. for the avoidance of any doubt at all. Right, so we've got some people sending questions in, which is great. So let's try and kick off. Lots of people. Right, Jose Reyes says, "Hola Spa, hola Jose." Alex Ashmore says, "Would love to get your..." Okay, no, Ali says, "Hola Spa, predictions for next week's Champions League matches." Well, Real Madrid are going to win and Villarreal are going to win. That's pretty simple, isn't it? I mean, you know. No?
I mean, look, should we give the honest answer?
Yeah.
Real Madrid are going to win and Villarreal are going to win. I think Villarreal might be precisely the kind of team that Liverpool find the most difficult. Now, that's not to say that Liverpool aren't favourites. I think they are. But I think a team that is defensively very strong, that doesn't necessarily give you space to run into, that doesn't allow you to speed up the pace of the game and will try and slow the pace of the game down, but it's not just defensively strong in terms of, in the Atletico Madrid sense, in terms of having lots of people behind the ball, but it's very good at keeping possession as an anesthetic approach to the game. I think is the kind of team that potentially could cause Liverpool problems. Now, I still think they're favourites, but I think Villarreal may well make it difficult for them. I suppose the question might be, as quite often is the case in these kind of matchups, whether Liverpool score early enough to force Villarreal to take a step up a little bit. In the other game, I think Real Madrid go through.
You always think Real Madrid will go through.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I realise that. No, I do realise that. Yeah. I realise that, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
All right, fair enough. Alex Ashmore says, "Would love to get your thoughts on Gareth Bale and where he'll go." Did we talk about this in the Q&A pod we did today? I think we might have.
Well, I said that you should go to Real Oviedo, but
yeah, I mean, we also said it would be absolutely hilarious if he went to Barcelona.
It would be very, very funny.
And then,
is there any way we can make the Geary Cast guys happy and make a case for him going to Malaga? I mean, financially, it might be a little bit beyond them given their current state, but lots of lovely golf courses down on the coast.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a very, very easy way of encouraging Gareth to go to Malaga. The golf courses on the Costa
don't go down the Spanish route of relating him to golf.
I know, but it's true. And by the way, if you've ever been down, well, I'm sure you have, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will have as well. If you've ever been down to that part of Spain, the sheer number of golf courses is incredible. You don't even need to go into the towns. You just go on that, I think it's the A7, isn't it? The motorway that hammers through Andalusia. They just, as you come around the Costa del Sol, there's just golf courses everywhere.
Yes. Okay. So
I don't play golf, by the way.
No,
for me, a bogey is still a thing that comes out of my nose. It's not,
Okay. Chris says, "Hola Spa, I love it. It's so easy. Even Sid can do it. Donation promo."
Exactly that.
Yeah, it is that easy. We're already, by the way, we're already up to 413. Okay. No, we're up
and
to
that's without me actually having completed mine, because I was just trying to see if I can get the light on in here so you can actually see me. Not that that's necessarily a good thing.
469 we're up to. That's fantastic. Keep it coming, and we will do the raffle a little bit later on.
That's without me actually doing it, because I feel like I probably shouldn't be sitting here tapping in my card details while I talk to you.
Yeah, maybe don't just do it after. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's really easy apparently. David Pearson says, "Is it Mbappe or bust for Real Madrid in the summer, or are there any other potential new Galacticos we could see come in? There's a big Norwegian lad they're quite keen on." Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I suppose, if we're going to define them as Galacticos, you then have to ask yourself, which European players count as Galacticos now? Not European necessarily, but players currently playing in Europe. Or maybe if there is a kind of Galactico in waiting in Brazil or Argentina or something. But players that actually count as Galacticos, really and truly right now, are probably only Mbappe and Haaland in terms of people on the market, aren't they? Because you would say maybe Salah, but I don't know if he counts as being on the market just yet.
Everyone's got their price, isn't he?
Well, there is that, and particularly when they're in the midst of a contract renegotiation. So maybe
what? Hold on, like Neymar and Messi aren't Galacticos anymore. Not that they're. But
are they on the market?
Everyone's on the market.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right. And also, by the way, at what point does Kevin De Bruyne get bored of playing for Man City?
Why would he get bored of playing for Man City?
Well, when they inevitably go out against Real Madrid in the Champions League, and they have another season of sort of the success feeling empty and the defeats feeling like the most important thing in the world, does De Bruyne go, I really want to play for Real Oviedo?
You're going to say that with everyone, aren't you? Literally,
literally everybody. Yes. I mean, in the case of Haaland, there's actually there is some logic to this. Haaland's idol is Michu. If he truly wants to follow in his idol's footsteps, he can go to Real Oviedo.
Yeah, or he could go to Burgos, where Michu is currently the
Or
sporting
Swansea.
director. Yeah, or Swansea. But yeah.
Or Rio, Phil. Don't
That's
knock
not
it.
going to happen. Yeah, all right, absolutely. Kelvin says, "Hi, Sid, Phil, and Al. Hope you're well. What are your thoughts about the Copa final this weekend? Who do you think will be the important players to decide if Betis or Valencia win?"
What do you think? I can't help feeling like Valencia win this, partly because I'm watching the Valencia game now, and Valencia have rested a whole load of their players, and I'm watching the Betis game now on the other screen, and Betis are not resting a whole load of their players. And I know that doesn't that's not everything. Hey?
Betis have got much better players.
They have. But Valencia, if there's a team that can defend and defend and defend and catch you once and go through, go on and win it. Is that not Valencia?
I mean, are they that good at that?
I mean, in a final, I think it might be. Yeah, in a final, I think it might be.
Al?
I mean, no, I think Betis do it. It would be nice if Betis could be rewarded for what a fantastic season they've had with a little bit of cup glory. It looks like top four might just be beyond them, but to win a cup would be absolutely fantastic, and not just because we are such big fans of Manuel Pellegrini's tracksuit, but also because we love a lot of their players as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's obviously too easy just to sort of reduce it to one team has a certain style and another team has another style. But aesthetically, Betis are a lot more pleasing on the eye, let's put it like that, than Valencia. But, each to their own, I guess. Matthew Harrison says, in our 2 hours of recording, I only got to mention Michu once on our show. So can Sid just talk about Michu for a bit?
We'll leave you to it, Sid.
I just go like that a bit. Hang on. I've forgotten how to even do it properly. But anyway, let's just talk about Michu. Michu's brilliant. I love Michu. Is that enough? I mean, do I need to say? There's not really very much else to say. Although, actually, you know what? It possibly is worth picking up on that final season at Rio, and also, of course, the first season at Swansea. He was genuinely extraordinary. A very good friend of mine is a Swansea fan, and his little boy is a Swansea fan as well. And I mean, it was like the meeting of the Michu fan club. We actually met them for dinner in Santa Barbara in California. The two families met, my family and theirs. And my little boy had come in a Real Oviedo tracksuit, and his little boy had come in a Swansea tracksuit. So it's fair to say we took a photograph of the two of them, immediately sent it to Michu. So for some reason, we've just stumbled across the Michu fan club in Santa Barbara, California. And it really is easy to overlook how much of given that it was only really a year and a half at Swansea, where he was at the very top of his game, how much of an extraordinary impact he had in that year and a half. And you look back,
it was like nobody expected, like no one knew about him.
No one knew who he was.
Just comes in and just blazes it away for one season.
And it's got to be one of the fastest overnight, kind of suddenly becoming a bit of a superstar, and then just as fast as he emerged, he kind of tragically, of course, with the injuries, it went away again. Yeah. There haven't been many trajectories that have been that steep in both directions.
And obviously it goes hand in hand with the trajectory of the club itself, because, of course, Swansea, forgive me for saying this, Swansea fans, not a huge club. And yet all of a sudden, this was a team playing in Europe. I was there when they went to Mestalla and destroyed Valencia, absolutely destroyed Valencia. And they were completely brilliant that night. And I think a lot of Swansea fans might argue that's the greatest night in their entire history. So the two things kind of went hand in hand. That it was him, even if only fleetingly, lifting them to a point to which they've only been at fleetingly as well. So yeah, and that's quite a lot of Michu chat. I'm very pleased with us.
We're at £548.
I was going to say we crossed the threshold.
How much Michu does it take to?
I think we have to
donate to stop Sid talking about Michu.
Yeah, we're gonna have to set the bar a little bit higher to give some stuff away. So I know, just dig deep and just give whatever you can. We've got quite a few people watching now, so if everyone just gives a little bit, we can make a bit of a difference. Pitantrax says que chaqueta más guapa. Someone who I assume is an Oviedo fan who likes your jacket,
or just a fashion connoisseur, obviously.
Yeah, either or. DJ Edward Smith says, if Haaland stays in England and Mbappe stays at Paris, where did Barca or Real Madrid look for their next marquee signing? Don't say Real Oviedo.
No, I mean, honestly, if those two do not come to Spain, then I suppose if you're looking for a really big name, you've pretty much got to go to either someone you can get from the Premier League, and we go back and mention Mo Salah again, perhaps, Or maybe you start looking at Bayern Munich. So maybe it becomes someone like Lewandowski. The only problem with Lewandowski as a marquee signing is that this is by definition a short-term marquee signing. But in terms of a name, do you not kind of feel like Bayern and the Premier League are the only other places you can get them from?
I think it's an interesting question what Real Madrid will do if Mbappe effectively turns them down again and signs a contract extension at PSG. Where do you go from there? I mean, how long does this pursuit that's already been going on for years and years and years?
If he does that, then he's dead to Florentino. Surely.
Maybe it's done.
Maybe even literally.
And to be honest, I'm not sure if they look at an alternative superstar or if they simply do what they've done in the last few years, which is decide not to splash out on a superstar and think we've got another year of Benzema, we've got Vinicius getting better and better, we've got Rodrigo who looks like he's starting to get better.
You know what I could see them doing? Honestly,
Gareth Bale is el fichaje.
No, well, yeah, I mean, the media will always find someone who's staying there as the fichaje. I could genuinely see them if they were put in a position where Mbappe suddenly didn't turn up. I think they recognise that they could probably do with a striker as Villarreal. Oh, great save. Villarreal almost scored a third there. Silerson made a very good save. I could genuinely see them if they do look at this and think we need a forward, looking within Spain and looking at someone like Alexander Isak or looking at someone like Danjuma or because I don't think they'll go or what?
My boy.
Your boy,
sorry.
of course,
My boy,
Isak or Danjuma. I could see them being targets for Real Madrid if they were put in a position where they had to look, if you like, beyond the obvious.
Oh, might be a goal here for Villarreal. It's my boy Danjuma in for a hat-trick. Danjuma! Good save.
Is that not just the one that I just watched? Have we got slight lag between our covers?
Is that what it is?
That was probably the same chance.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'll tell you what, is Parejo taking a corner now, Philly? You seeing Parejo's back in about 30 seconds. If you see Parejo's back and someone's pulling on Mandy's shirt, then we'll know. 44 minutes and 53 seconds.
TSFP gold.
Oh, wow. Okay, it's the same one. I won't do that again then. Olubunmi says, hello, Phil, Sid and Alex. Hello, Olubunmi. Tom Lesinski says, love the TSFP gang. Thanks for the love, Tom. Tim says, hola, Spa. We all know the mighty Real Oviedo will make the promotion playoff. Any thoughts on who they match up with best?
I was talking to a friend actually this evening about this who's a Leganés fan. And he's probably the only person I know who watches the second division properly, like apart from journalists. And I kind of feel like, and this might be short-sighted, that Oviedo's one of their advantages in the playoffs will be that this is a big club in a big ground that will fill during the playoffs, which in truth doesn't fill during the season. And that might be really significant. And so I'd almost rather not play the bigger clubs in the playoffs. So obviously, Valladolid, for example. I feel like I'd almost rather play Eibar, even though they're a better team than perhaps Valladolid, and that Eibar slip out of an automatic promotion place and into a playoff place. I don't know if that's short-sighted of me, but it does feel like that might be beneficial for Oviedo. The other funny thing, if you look at Oviedo's results this year, and the last few weeks have changed this a bit, but they've got really good results against the theoretically good teams and really quite bad results against some of the poorer teams, in theory. And Oviedo are not necessarily a team that go and attack you. So you feel like maybe they would be better against a stronger side because it won't matter so much that Oviedo are not, to put it bluntly, not enormously proactive sometimes.
Okay. I mean, how much more Oviedo chat can we get away with, do you reckon?
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean,
should we try? Should we just sort of push it and see how far it goes?
Just rebrand this as the Oviedo Hour.
We really should do a TSFP presents Oviedo every day.
Yeah, let's try not to do that. Okay, more questions. Olubunmi says, Sid, why do Barca keep repeating historical mistakes with regards to financial impasses?
Yeah, I mean, I assume you're talking about the fact that they're still spending now, even though they don't have any money, and obviously the most recent example being Ferran Torres. We talked about this in the podcast a couple of weeks ago because I'd been to see Jordi Cruyff, who of course is now not officially the sporting director, but kind of the de facto secretario técnico, even though his official title I think is international scouting secretary or something like that. But he was saying, look, we are controlling in this in a way that wasn't the case. Because I actually asked him very directly that question. I said, look, let me ask you the most blunt question of all. How the bloody hell can you spend 55 million on Ferran Torres? And he said, well, look, amortizations. And I said, okay, then, there's a lovely Spanish phrase, and I'm sure some of you will know this, bread for today, hunger for tomorrow. Are you not just spending this on getting something now that actually means in the long run you're going to go hungry? And he said, no, we are controlling this in a way that wasn't always the case before. We think we're not falling into the kind of traps that we've inherited. Now, I suppose the question then becomes, how far do you trust this Barcelona for that to actually be the case? I think they've learned some of the lessons. I think I do trust them up to a point. But I also think there are pressures that are not just purely economic. And there are pressures, particularly at presidential level, to kind of make a big splash. And we've seen that, I think, in the way that they played up the idea that they could get Haaland. And then actually quite quickly sort of started saying, actually, this isn't possible. And acting as if it never was, which I suppose it probably never really was.
Jose Reyes says, while not suggesting that quarterfinal of the Champions League and fourth in the league is a disaster, how bad would it have to get for Simeone not to be welcome at Atleti?
Well, he will always be welcome at Atleti.
He's got a job there as long as he wants it.
Yeah, I think so, because I think this is actually quite an interesting question in terms of like, how does a club, and this, and I'm not saying this is necessarily the case with Atletico, but given Jose's kind of imagined scenario, or given other scenarios that could follow it.
Ask Al about Arsene Wenger.
Well, exactly. That is exactly the parallel. Because there is that question that says, even when you reach a point at which you think it might not be a great idea anymore, when you have someone to whom you have an enormous debt of gratitude, how do you manage the closing of that period?
And don't you think that gratitude in football doesn't really last very long, and people have quite short
doesn't last
memories.
Very long, but I think Simeone is a step beyond that, and I think he's the closest thing there is in Spain to a Wenger. And I think as well, Atletico's fans are of a particular type, and so even if the club at some club level is not sure about Simeone, and this maybe is different to Wenger at Arsenal, because at Wenger at Arsenal, correct me if I'm wrong, Al, but there was a division towards the end. I think right now, no Atletico Madrid fan and no Atletico Madrid match going fan would even for a minute call for Simeone to go, if only because they would feel bad doing it. Even if at some point inside them they would think, yeah, maybe we should change this. I don't think any of them would allow themselves to do that. And bear in mind, by the way, they chanted him the other day at a time when the pressure was on and when they thought they were going out. Bear in mind, and I think we should repeat this, even though we've repeated it before, they're the current league title winners.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, all I would say is that the fact that this season, the year after winning the league title, it required a sort of behind the scenes crisis meeting to kind of get the season back on track. That makes me think that maybe the idea that he has a job for life for as long as he wants it, maybe that isn't quite the case. I know that ended up ratifying him and they decided to
I was going to say, that's
but
the
fact
caveat.
that meeting was necessary tells you something, doesn't it?
That's the caveat, though, isn't it? Though, as you say, that meeting was partly about saying to the players, don't piss about here. This guy's still in charge. And I personally think, and one or two of the players have confirmed this, and the best of them was Jimenez, who actually said this in an interview, I think, with Movistar after a game. That looks like a handball to me. Oh, no, it's because it's replay the first half. It was a handball indeed. For the penalty. I personally think that part of Atletico Madrid's problem this year is precisely the fact that they're league champions. And it blunted some of the things that made them Atletico, blunted that edge of kind of a collective course, the idea that they're up against the odds, the idea that they're not a big club, all that sort of thing.
Alex Ashmore likes the idea of Bale to Malaga. He says, yes, exchange for Adrian Lopez. Paul Heenan says, I'm all for Gareth Bale coming to Malaga. Nicholas Bell says, evening TSFP. Under Emery, are Villarreal genuine contenders to win the Champions League? Well, they are now.
Yeah, I mean, surely anyone who's in a semi-final is a contender now. Yeah.
DJ Edward Smith says, do you think Barcelona stick with Oba as their main striker next season? It's a good question.
I think this speaks to what we were asking about before, the bread for today, hunger for tomorrow thing. Now, I think Aubameyang has been very good. I think he's probably been better than we thought, although maybe not as good as Al thought, because Al has told us that although there were problems with Arsenal at the end, he's genuinely brilliant, or can be genuinely brilliant. But Barcelona were effectively pushed into a position in which they gave him a longer term deal than was their intention. And so now all this talk about them wanting a forward, there's a bit of me that thinks, Well, that suggests that you're still not sure about Aubameyang, that you're still not sure that you have the forward that you really want. And then you ask a question about, well, which kind of forward? Who is that forward? Who's the player that's available that you can afford? And of course, the options there are very, very limited. But yeah, I think it's a very good question. What do they do with Aubameyang? How long term do they really think he is? And does that last?
Leao says Haaland has posters of Borja Baston on his bedroom wall. So
absolutely, he does. I have no doubt about that.
We're fully getting behind the Haaland to Real Oviedo rumours. Miguel Garcia simply says Puxa Oviedo Sid. And MX Island Man says, Hola Spa, a question for Al for a change. What one player from La Liga would you love to see at Arsenal and why?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's
a very good question. What one La Liga current La Liga player would I like to see at Arsenal? What we really need is a proper forward. So Karim Benzema, please. Yeah. I'll have him. If not, Gerard Moreno, or someone of that caliber would be nice.
Sam Leverage says, who are the two teams you guys would like to see come up from Segunda alongside Real Oviedo's inevitable and magnificent playoff win? We need Zaragoza back, obviously.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen, but we need them back.
It's not going to happen. You tend to look at it in terms of the size of clubs, don't you? So then you'd say Zaragoza, Malaga, Sporting, Las Palmas.
I would quite like to see a Canarian team up, even if it's
Tenerife
or Las Palmas.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's
I'd like to see Jesse back in the first division as well, wouldn't you? Just for the laugh.
Well, I guess. I mean,
if it doesn't detract from his, reggaeton career, that's the important thing for me. He needs to keep his priorities straight.
By the way, I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm sure I must have done. But my son has now decided that reggaeton is just shorthand for all music he doesn't like, which I think is brilliant. Anything he doesn't like, he says, "Oh, that's reggaeton, isn't it?" I said, no, that really isn't reggaeton. Oh, well, it's rubbish. Well, in which case, call it reggaeton. That's fine.
Have you not played him any J Balvin?
No, shall I?
Come on, I need to educate your boy on getting some.
Put him a playlist together.
He's very much a jangly guitar kind of kid, I'm afraid.
Well. Matthew Harrison says, us Swansea fans do consider that our greatest night. So there we go.
Good. Oh, okay, good. By the way, I can I be cocky now and just boast a little bit? I was at that game and I have the shirt from that game as well, which I really love. That Swansea shirt, the blue and yellow one, is a really gorgeous shirt.
Oh, nice. Rory Peter says, do Real Madrid need to win the Champions League in order for Benzema to win the Ballon d'Or?
Not necessarily, but it would depend who does and how well their players play in winning it. So for argument's sake, and this is why I must admit, I think it's slightly mental, the way in which we know what the Spanish media is like, and actually, to be fair, other media are bad as well. The way in which they're saying Benzema is now a shoo-in for the Ballon d'Or. No, he's not, because voters outside of Spain will look at this season in terms of successes. However much people say the criteria is about individual performance and all that stuff, they will look at the season in terms of successes. Given that the Ballon d'Or, for completely stupid reasons, as far as I can see, have decided they're going to vote before the World Cup and not include it, and instead the World Cup will be included the next year, even though it'll be 12 months bloody later. Right, I can't believe I'm getting upset about the Ballon d'Or, but let me get on with it. But I think what will essentially happen is the Champions League will help to define the votes of most people. Now, right now, who is the best player in Europe? I personally think it probably is Benzema. But imagine that Liverpool win the Champions League and the FA Cup and the League Cup and even the League. How are you not going to vote for Salah? In all honesty, particularly if Salah scores a couple of goals in the final, for example. However good Benzema's been. And so I think the idea that it's already done is really short-sighted, because I think the Champions League semi-finals and final will define it. So if City go and win it, and win for the first time in their history, and win the Premier League, which of course is perfectly plausible, and De Bruyne plays brilliantly, I think De Bruyne wins it. And so I just think it's too early to decide. But the question is right, because I think it is focused on the Champions League. And I think if Real Madrid win the Champions League and Benzema is brilliant, then I think he's an absolute shoo-in for it, yes.
He's only April, isn't it?
Exactly. It's just It's just a bit early, Phil. Really.
Yeah. Gary Jones says, "Did you see the Revista de la Liga reunion show earlier on the stream? It was great to see the gang back together, and sad that the show ended. But when Revista ended, TSFP rose to eclipse. Well, I don't know about Eclipse, but yeah. We dropped in and had a little look and
had a little look. I just enjoyed watching the opening title credits from Revista, which actually, to be fair, Guillaume did put on twice. I quite like that.
Yeah, I mean, there will be nothing quite like that, but you know, we do have some of the guys from Revista de la Liga on La Liga TV every weekend.
And I think
there, Terry's there, Graham's there.
Exactly, and you know, obviously, it's wrong that I say this because I am very, very, very occasionally, not very often, but very occasionally on La Liga TV. It's also wrong that I say this because I'm very biased in favour of Hellenic hunks that present TV shows. But genuinely, La Liga TV is brilliant from that point of view. Really brilliant.
Thanks, Sid. The Guardian's great as well.
And chapter 6 of my book is magnificent. Or was it 7? I can't remember now.
Sean Gonzalez Lambert says, a bonus Q&A today from the three amigos. That's what we're here for, Sean. But we're here to also raise money. And by the way, we are up to £613.
Fantastic, everybody.
So great effort. Thank you very much. If you can give a little bit, if you haven't already, a couple of quid, anything you can spare. That's why we're here. Sean says, is there one young player, apart from the obvious, that can break into the Spain team from the under-21s? Have I lost you, Sid?
Can you hear us, Sid? Should we carry on and see if he... Oh, there he is.
Yeah, for a moment there, I thought I had lost you. Yeah, I'm still here. Can you still hear me now?
We can hear you now, yes.
Yeah. You're a bit blurry.
Let me try.
No,
it wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't be. You know, a TSFP live stream without some Sid Lowe technical problems at some stage.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Sid is or what he's doing, but he's left us in the lurch a little bit. So
we'll carry on and we'll try and get him back.
Are you still there? Am I still here?
You're there, man. You're there.
I'm back.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
That may well be because my laptop was trying to choose between the the three networks in my house, and has decided to block one and try and get in on the other. Unfortunately, sorry.
Okay, Miguel. Who can break into the Spain team from the under-21s?
I don't think it necessarily needs to be a case of being from the under-21s, to be honest.
That's the question.
Yes, I know. But I suppose when you look at the players coming through, you look at it in terms of a question of what might Luis Enrique feel like he needs. And I think he may well be thinking about central defenders. But funnily enough, I think he's very definitely thinking about Diego Carlos from Sevilla, who's about to get his Spanish passport. I think he will be thinking about forwards, but will be thinking as well that Ansu Fati probably fills that gap anyway. And so I must admit, I'm not sure I have an answer to this in terms of specifically coming from the under-21s. I don't look at the under-20. I don't know about you. Tell me what you think. I don't look at the under-21s and think that's the next one of any of them.
The Spain under-21s haven't been that strong for a few years now.
Partly, of course, and there are already very young players in the full squad.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He's already tried so many players, hasn't he? I mean, when you called up Xavi when he barely played for Barcelona at that point, 17,
and Nico as well. Yeah.
Miguel Garcia says, if Mbappe extends his contract with PSG, anyone in the universe will be safe from Florentino's anger. He's going to be a pretty angry man if that does happen. Roman says, Kitro might be the one streaming illegally after all. I'm definitely not, Roman. I'm just a little bit behind on my very legal Movistar link. Illegal streaming is abhorrent, and I detest it.
I would just tell you, I mean, in the other country that we shall not name, Liverpool are currently beating Man United 3-0. I just changed channels back again. I'm trying to watch 3 games at once. It's not that easy.
Yeah, well, it's of interest because Villarreal are playing them, but otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah. Ewan Weir says, Sid, are you allowing yourself to believe that there's a real chance of Oviedo coming up next season?
I know. I'm trying really hard not to, but I have allowed myself to this week, and it's really stupid. And I wish I hadn't done it, but I recognise that
I don't think you really know how you would handle Oviedo being in Primera. I don't think you haven't had to confront it, obviously. So I don't think you'd know what to do about it, Sid, to be honest.
We had a very long and slightly stupid and in the end rather circular debate with some viewers of La Liga TV on Twitter about an hour ago. Me and Phil were very heavily involved in this about the whole idea of bias and so on. And it has occurred to me on occasion before that from a working point of view, when Oviedo are in the first division, I've got a bit of a problem. I sort of don't know. Yeah, it's true. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It was kind of quite nice in a stupid sort of way to not have this as an issue.
You've been able to compartmentalize it, haven't you? Because your job is covering the Primera, and then watching and following Oviedo is the fun thing that you do on the side, and you see them when you can. But that will all change.
Yeah.
I feel like if they're in the first division next year, I feel like I should, if only for the first season, I don't know how easily I'm going to be able to persuade my employers of this. But say to them, first season, I don't care. I'm going to every single Oviedo game. I don't care if it clashes with a Clásico. I'm going to every single Oviedo game in that first season.
Hello, Dandy says too much Oviedo already.
I know we're sorry, but this is the issue you're going to face next year when Oviedo are in the first division. All of my coverage is going to be Oviedo based. All of it.
Just you wait.
100%.
I think I might know who Hello Dandy is. Alex Ashmore says, "Hi Phil, Sid, and Alex. Just want to say I love your content. I'm a patron. Thanks, Alex. Would like to get your thoughts on Champions League places potentially being awarded to previous winners."
So I was just noticing that Hello Dandy had also said, "Say less Benzema Ballon d'Or."
Yeah, it's who I thought it was.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Sorry, what was the other question? While I'm looking at Hello.
The question was, what would like to get your thoughts on Champions League places potentially being awarded to previous winners?
I hate it.
Yeah. I hate it. I mean, awarded to the current holders, fine, but not previous winners.
Yeah.
Although actually, I must admit, I quite like the idea of Nottingham Forest being back in.
Okay, all right. I thought you were going to say the O word.
O word.
Chris,
Oviedo have never won the European Cup, as far as I know.
They haven't. That's true. Chris Lale says, "What do you all think about Sevilla's collapse since January? What do you think is the main reason? Also, Sid, can you unblock me on Twitter? I don't know why." Do you know how many times that happens? People say, "Can you get Sid to unblock me?" I don't know what I did.
I will be
a prolific blocker.
I will be honest with you. The chances are you deserved it, but it is perfectly plausible that you didn't. It is perfectly plausible that
You might have just had a bad day.
I block very quickly, very easily. And yes, it's possible that you didn't do very badly wrong. But yes, it's also possible that you were a dick. Sorry about that.
Hold on.
Sorry, what was your question?
About Sevilla. About Sevilla and their collapse.
Well, I mean, look, as we were talking about on Monday, the idea of the game against Real Madrid being kind of a portrait of their season, and that portrait is to do with injuries, a little bit of bad luck, not finishing chances, and you look at it and you think, if only they'd had a really, really, really good fit forward. Now, in theory, they've got two quite good ones in Rafa Mir and Nesiri, but maybe not absolute elite level. Then you look at, I think, just that failure sometimes to take the step, that failure sometimes to actually believe in it. There was a nice piece that that friend of the pod, Graham Hunter, wrote in ESPN sometime in the January, I think, when he basically wrote a piece that argued that Sevilla are league title contenders if only Sevilla believed that Sevilla are league title contenders, and that they've got to, throw off all the kind of the qualms and say, right, yeah, we're going for this. Now, I think at some institutional level, they realized they were confronted by a unique opportunity, and that was demonstrated in their transfer window activity in January. But maybe there was a slight sense of them just not quite taking that step. And if that's about the manager or about some of the players, about a little bit of bad luck. And you think back, for example, to that missed penalty from Rakitic in the last minute away at Osasuna.
Yeah.
And that was a moment when you thought that felt sort of symbolic even then. And then with time, it's been proven maybe to be even more, what do you call it, more reflective of what this season's been.
I've just found the Twitter exchange between Chris and Sid, which presumably got Chris blocked.
That's incredible research, Kitro. Well done.
I'm not going to read it out now, but I'll show it to Sid off air.
Do you think Chris deserved it or not?
I don't think he necessarily deserved blocking. Maybe I would have just done a sort of a mute, but we'll see. Now,
I mean, bear in mind it's perfectly plausible for something
and he
else.
was quite forthright in his opinions on Sevilla and an article that Sid wrote. Anyway, to be discussed off air. Thanks for the question. James,
Chris, you definitely deserved whatever it was. Chris, you deserved it.
Yeah. Listen, if you make a nice donation, Chris, Sid will unblock you. Hey.
I see what you did there.
How about that? Yeah, make a nice donation, Sydney, or unblock you. James says, hi, gents. How does La Liga title race look next season? Monchi bringing in some more ammo, Villarreal some consistency, Betis continuing to improve, and Atleti finally attacking other teams.
I would very much like next season to be even more open. I would love the idea that Sevilla can take a step again. I must admit, my concern with Sevilla would be the opposite. Would be that this year's opportunity having gone by, that some of those sales that didn't happen now do. Now, obviously, if there is a club that have proven to us that selling players needn't necessarily long-term be a problem, it's Sevilla. They've normalised departures in a way that no club has done, and that's just so much about Monchi's work. But Monchi's work, I think it's worth remembering, isn't just about the purchases. It's about the creation of an environment in which those players succeed. And Monchi does everything at the club. I'm sure I've told you this story before, but I remember being there to interview him once, and it was before.
It's that pesky other Wi-Fi network just desperate to get involved.
This is a real insight for everyone to the sort of challenges that we face on a daily or weekly basis with Sid and his fairly baffling Wi-Fi setup.
Yeah,
it's pretty constant.
I've just got a WhatsApp from him which just says, "Wow, my laptop just literally turned itself off."
Amazing.
That's
this is authentic, isn't it?
DJ Edward Smith says, does Sid prefer sitting in the press area or pitch side behind the goal, as he's done a fair bit recently? I don't know about Sid, but obviously sitting in the press area is so much better for seeing a game generally. But then when you're pitch side, you see things that you do not see in the press area. You get a sense of the speed at which everything happens. You don't get an overview, and if something happens at the other end of the pitch, you probably don't know what's going on. But you do see little details, right? That you don't see.
And some of the best and kind of most special memories I have of watching La Liga games were when you and I used to work together for Real Madrid TV, and we would often be pitch side at the Bernabeu and being very close in some of the biggest games for the Clásico, being that close to Messi or whichever top player you want to talk about. Though that was very, very special. You're right. You don't want to do it every week because you don't get that overall view. But once in a while, it can be. You feel genuinely privileged because you're closer than anyone else would be to that pitch.
Just texting Sydney. Well, turn the laptop back on, you silly sausage. Right.
Turn it off and turn it back on again.
Ben Morris says, you guys tweeted that Abdon Prats has the undisputed best moustache in La Liga. Whilst I agree with you,
yes, good.
Some Betis fans are saying that Bellerin has the best moustache. Look, can you settle this big debate, please?
I will accept that the word undisputed, I think that was perhaps a step too far. I think there is a reasonable and rational debate to be had about the respective merits of Abdon Prats' moustache and Hector Bellerin's moustache. However, I would say that if you look at the two moustaches, do it side by side if you want to, get them both up on your screen. I think that the abundance of Abdon Prats, and Kitra, you are a facial hair connoisseur, and aware in a way that I can only dream about. But I think Abdon Prats, it's full. It's a full-bodied tash. And Hector, I love Hector. I will not criticize Hector ever about anything, but it's a little bit more wispy. Do you know what I mean? Wispy, and that for me means that Abdon Prats is La Liga's #1 moustache. Sid Lowe, who for you has La Liga's best moustache?
Abdon Prats, without doubt. Now, I was watching. Sorry, by the way, my computer literally turned itself off. I've had to go upstairs to the office where I could plug it back in again. I don't know what happened there, but my
ran out of battery.
Well, yes, but it didn't, according to the little indication. It just turned itself off. My computer is doing stupid things. Anyway, the answer is Abdon Prats. But Abdon Prats looks like. Tell me which series it is. There is a series where two Scottish brothers accidentally kill someone, and there's a private investigator who looks exactly like Abdon Prats. It's a British TV series. I think it's called Guilt or something like that. And it's
is it from the 1990s?
No, it's a recent thing.
We might not have seen it. You watch more British TV, I think, than Kitro and I do. But is this finally a return for La Liga Look-Alikes, which we used to do quite a lot of back in the early days of TSFP, and has fallen by the wayside?
KB9 simply says, "Who is Peter Debrosky?"
Peter Debrosky was a Real Oviedo player. He'd actually been at Real Madrid. He scored in the first game, I think, that I ever saw in Spain for Real Madrid against Zaragoza in 90. 24. Christ, how old am I? Anyway, he was at Real Oviedo the year that I lived in Oviedo. He was fantastically talented, sort of slightly floaty, either left-sided midfielder or second striker. He tragically died in 2001 or 2000. He was on holiday and he literally slipped and fell down a waterfall. And just a horrible story, but a brilliant footballer. And probably, yeah, in fact, definitely, I would say my kind of first Spanish football hero, I suppose. My first favourite player in Spain.
I don't want to. That's a very touching story. Elche 1-0 up at Betis.
We see. I can no longer tell you this because I no longer have the screens. That is a big scoreline. Wow.
Mad ting. Matthew Harrison says, as a Swansea fan now living in Malaga and supporting Malaga, this talk of Bale to Malaga followed by Michu chat has made this the best live stream ever already. I'm just going to take some questions from people who haven't had questions already. Dan Green says, inspired by the question for Al, which former Arsenal player currently playing La Liga would Al most like to have back in a Gunners shirt?
Former Arsenal player who is currently playing in La Liga.
So Bellerin.
I love Hector for all kinds of things, but like probably less as a player than as a man. I can't have Santi because he's not in La Liga. Otherwise, it would be Santi, wouldn't it?
It would be Santi, wouldn't it? I mean, it's everyone's favourite person is Santi, isn't it? Like, there's no one in the world who doesn't think Santi's great.
Sam Marsden, Diego Martinez to Burnley news. Sam, you're a bit busy now, mate. But yeah. Hello, Dandy says, anyone who makes or releases reggaeton should be jailed. Right? Listen,
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Bruv, I'm going to play you some good reggaeton next time I see you, Mr. Dandy, and you're going to like it. Martin Seabright says, who has been your breakout star in La Liga this season, guys? You know what? I'm going to say Arnett Danjuma, mate. Yes. He scored 10 league goals. I didn't know anything about him. He was playing the Championship last season, and he's come in and he's done really well. So that's me off the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I suppose unless you start talking about people like Pedri, obviously doesn't count as
Xavi.
breakout because he was playing last year, but Xavi.
Yeah, he's done all right as well, to be honest. Paul Heenan.
And does Vinicius count as breakout because he's broken out from himself? Yeah, but he's broken out from his own jail, if you like.
It's not breakout though, is it? It's just like finally starting scoring. But yeah, Paul says, Sid, you're not on La Liga TV enough. I know, right? I try and get him to come.
He tries his best.
Yeah, the thing is, I've got the little thing here. Does this help if I got this little thing with me? No, that is true. But it's also true that actually your definition of not on enough, Kitro, is slightly different from mine and indeed other people's, because of course yours only really counts if I'm on at the weekend with you.
Well, yeah,
whereas I go quite a bit during the week. The weekends are almost impossible for me. That's the problem.
Weekends are the big prime time, mate. Prime time.
I know, but as you know, I'm not an audience chaser.
That you are not, my friend. That you are not. But we currently have 77 magnificent people joining us on this live stream, and it's fantastic. So quality, not quantity. Although not the same when it comes to raising funds. 633. We're still out there. Can we move that? Can we move that a little bit? Let's try and move it a little bit before we end. I know everyone's done well, but let's try and move it up a little bit. Let's try and get to 650 in the next 10 minutes or so. Tim McElroy says, with Luis Suarez moving on and uncertainty with Antoine Griezmann, is there any chance that Atleti would turn to a current informed striker from Hellas Verona with a famous last name?
I would like that a lot.
Be funny, wouldn't it? But he hasn't even played his other son, has he? So I mean,
no, he hasn't played his other son a single minute yet. He's been in the squad a few times, but he hasn't been. I've interviewed the son that's in Italy, and he was really, really nice, really bright, very alert. We ended up talking about the dome of the church in Florence and the architectural construction of it, and how it's the only dome of its type built with bricks and made by a lattice effect to hold those bricks in place to create the dome shape. I don't think I've.
Did you tell him that, or did he?
No, he told me that. Okay. I don't think I've ever had that conversation with.
Was this some sort of metaphor for Diego Simeone's defense
I don't know.
the
It could
construction
be.
of his team or something.
It was the second time in about 6 months that I'd had a conversation with a footballer about architecture, and the only 2 times ever in my life. The other, of course, was Freddie Canute talking about the Islamic influenced architecture in Andalusia. I really enjoyed those 2 interviews. It almost made me want to be an architect.
Almost. Alex says, love the Peter Debrosky tribute, Sid, and to bring back the Oviedo topic, talk a bit about Borja van Basten, por favor. This is Alex Johnson, by the way. Hi, Alex.
Of course it is, yeah. It was always going to be Alex Johnson. Borja Basten is brilliant. He's brilliant.
Yeah, that'll do. Chris says he already sent in $50 and have a segment coming up, so I'm holding him to it. All right, okay, Chris.
All right.
Thomas telling us that Elche leads. That's good. Will Sayeds laughs at silly sausage. Prats has the best moustache, no arguments, says Steve Timms. Obviously. Bring back La Liga Look-Alikes, says Jose Reyes. Good, we will do that.
Funny jokes as well, but we did run out of them. We should probably let people into a secret here that we've run out of the Zoom jokes as well now. I have finally given up. I've finally admitted defeat. What are we, 32 weeks into the season?
Do people even know that you do that, Sid, or is
I don't know.
Literally a TSFP joke, I think?
To explain, I don't know.
Joke?
I think we might have mentioned this before. So we record our podcast on Zoom. I'm obviously now talking to our listeners rather than you two who know this. And I always send the Zoom link because I'm the one with the Zoom subscription, so we can hopefully not get kicked out halfway through. Although, as we've already seen tonight, it doesn't always work like that. And I nearly always try and send the Zoom link with some sort of Zoom related pun. So whether it's bad Zoom arising or dark side of the Zoom or boom boom shake the Zoom or something like that, it's always some Zoom related pun. We got to a point where Kitro would start most pods by saying, before we'd actually record, by saying, I think we've had that one. And I've had to throw in the towel, unfortunately. I got to about 30 weeks into the season. I was quite pleased with myself, but it's not enough. Bear in mind, that's 30 weeks of the season, doing 2 or 3 pods a week. I thought we did incredibly well.
Yeah, when you started repeating Kurt Zuma, that's when I knew it was all over. Mateo Castillo, Andrew says 4-0 Liverpool, which is,
wow.
Mateo Castillo says, I really enjoyed the segment earlier before the Betis game where Paul McGarrahy and David Whitworth were discussing Juanmi. Paul said not even Juanmi expected him to have a season like it. Is that fair?
That is true.
Definitely.
Definitely. Betis definitely did not expect it.
No, absolutely. In fact, they were ready to get let go in the summer.
They were quite keen to make a move happen for him to MLS or wherever.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Chris says all these people joining a football live stream and hearing Sid talking about architecture are going to be very confused. Alex Ashmore asks, is there a potential for the YouTube videos previewing and reviewing La Liga to return? I love them. Maybe next season, maybe.
Yeah, we stopped doing them with the pandemic, right? I think
the pandemic broke it, and then another sort of inside bit of information that me and Phil were on a Monday because of our work commitments, very, very close to each other geographically for many, many years, and we no longer are. It used to be a case of me getting in the car and in 5 minutes I was with Phil. We're now on different points of the city. And so the physical coming together is much more difficult than it used to be.
Yeah, but we could still do a YouTube preview via Zoom.
We could. It wouldn't look as good though, would it?
Not as good, but we'd make up for it. Johnny B says, I've been watching this live stream since noon UK time. Wow. My wife is not happy with me and my stomach is growling. That's commitment, Johnny, mate. Well done. It's very impressive.
That is very, very impressive.
KB9, I like this one. La Liga Look-Alike, Valencia's Uros Rasic and Kiefer Sutherland.
It's a very good one.
Hang on. I'm going to have to look up Uros Rasic now.
You know him.
I know what he looks like, but sometimes you need to be looking at a picture.
Yeah,
but you need to be looking at a picture to sort of really. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
there's something there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we also had former Atletico captain Gabby and Kolarov. That was a classic.
It was a classic. Yeah,
we were doing it. Sean Gonzalez Lambert says, "What about Vava Zoom? Did you do that one?" I think you might. I don't know.
I think I might have done actually. Yeah, I mean, this way I got to the point where I was doing things like Room on the Zoom. I mean, we reached that point where we were doing titles of children's books, and for Zoom, the Bell Tolls was probably one of my favourites.
Paul Headerhan says, does Sid have any plans for another book on Spanish football?
Yeah, I have lots of plans for lots of books, but right now I'd rather shoot myself than write another book. But but it is true that I've got 2 or 3 ideas sort of in the pipeline, but that pipeline is a very long pipeline, which never really gets got back to. I've actually recently been asked to do a book, which would be an incredibly exciting idea, but I am very, 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 very dubious about it actually being possible to pull off.
That sounds exciting and mysterious.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite exciting, mysterious. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe you can tell me a little about that off air.
I mean, Kitro will, you know, what happens? We'll probably won't be reading it. So, you know.
Yeah.
The previous one didn't go by.
Oh, I see. So Paul Heineman's gone for. Oh no, sorry. Pit Antrax has gone for Zuma Guerrero. Never did Zuma Guerrero. That's a good one.
Zuma Guerrero, that is a good one. Yeah. John Fleming says, love the TSFP at the games videos like Vallecas and the Wonder Ones. Very helpful for touring fans and the current TSFP Presents series. But can you do more videos? It's tough. It's tough.
It's quite labor intensive, isn't it? It's quite time consuming to film them and put them together. And we're pretty busy. We'd like to. But
and also the games ones.
One of our jobs.
That's
like all of us have got multiple jobs, so I guess if we gave up one of those and dedicated it to making videos, then we could do that. But it's a bit of a risk because it's quite hard to make money off YouTube videos unless you film a cat chasing a ball and then
that's what we should be doing. We've wasted our time all these years. All we needed was a cat. That kid on the skateboard was only half right.
And Will says, "Oh God." Super obscure Real Oviedo question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The only time I've seen the stadium in person, I thought, wow, these grey seats are ugly. Did you notice a change in atmosphere when they eventually replaced them?
I noticed genuinely a change in feel, but I think that's very superficial. But yes, I totally agree with you. It feels less cold now, and it was a stadium that felt really cold before. Yeah.
So, Al, you know how 669, vamos, that is a fantastic number of amount of money to be raised. Thank you so much, guys. What was I going to say? We were going to give away some stuff, Al. How are we going to do that?
Do you know the most straightforward way to do it is as follows? I've taken screen grabs of all of the chat during the last hour, so I've got everyone's usernames. I'll put all of them into like an internet random selection tool, and we'll pick a winner that way. We'll publish it on Twitter, and if we could, so check our Twitter, and then make sure you let us know that it's you. We'll get your details, and we'll send you a little package of TSFP goodies. So one person who has commented and contributed to this call in the last hour will win that fantastic prize.
Oh, that's brilliant! Fantastic. Does that include us? Can I win it? Am I allowed to win it?
If you put a comment in the comments, then.
I was very disappointed when we gave away a Joaquin shirt and I didn't win it.
that was a good prize. A signed Joaquin shirt. That was an amazing prize. There were quite in-depth discussions backstage about whether we could maybe
whether it was morally right for us to apply for that.
Christian says, as a Man United and Valencia fan, thank you for making the evening bearable.
Oh tough dear, night. Is it that bad?
Tough night for Man United and Valencia fans. Brandon Baez simply says, Vamos Venezuela. Okay, cool. Why not? And Chris says, Lopetegui is the most excited about the Elche win, I feel. Quite possibly.
He probably is. Yeah.
Liam Harrison says, what's your favorite pincho? Pincho de tortilla.
I do quite like, not so much a pincho because it doesn't come with the bread, but the pincho moruno I'm quite a big fan of when it's good.
Oh, yeah?
But when it's bad, it can be so bad that it puts you off them forever.
Yeah, pincho moruno is just basically like a weird little kebab.
Yeah, but it's got the spices. It's got a nice spice to it. What I do like when you're in Donosti is the pincho with tuna and mayonnaise, but it's got to have the pepper on it to give it that little tang, that little touch of spiciness.
Brandon says, if Betis with the Copa, can one of you recreate the famous Joaquin pick?
Oh, yes.
Sid?
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
You're going to post it? You're going to post it again if they win?
I'll tell you what, if I had like a replica model of the cup, right, I would do that for a laugh. And obviously I'd blur out the bits, but I would do that for a laugh. That'd be so funny.
I thought you were going to say if I had that picture printed, you would frame it and stick it up on your wall.
What do you mean? It's already on my feed.
If that was the backdrop for every single ESPN TV contribution that Sid makes, was just that behind
That'd be amazing. I should line myself up in front of a picture of Joaquin with his wang out. That would be just tremendous.
Jose Reyes says, shall we start the Patatas Bravas debate again? No.
Let's not.
What was
We
that
barely,
debate?
our friendship has barely recovered.
Well, when someone asked, what's your favourite tapas? And Al says, Patatas Bravas.
Look, we don't have time to get into this now. It's 2 minutes to the hour, but there was a pretty clear rationale.
Other guys can wait, man. This is a serious thing. Patatas Bravas, man. You said that's the best.
When they are done really well, they're very good. They've got to be done really well, and the sauce has to be homemade.
I will say, I think when the best Bravas are actually the multi-sauce Bravas. It's not just the Bravas sauce Bravas.
Yeah.
Multi-sauce Bravas.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, all right. Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Joe
you know what
says,
I mean? One of them will be a peppery one, and one of them will be
yeah. Speaking of Pincho, love the crossover seeing Kitro on Spain Revealed. What's the worst food at Spanish games you've had? Pipas. Pipas.
I don't think pipas even count as food. They're just a thing to keep you occupied.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, the Spanish people like to eat them for some bizarre reason, but yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, those diddly little sunflower seeds, an abomination. Right, it's been good, guys. We've got to go, I think.
Who's coming on next?
Yeah,
we do need to give way to them. We can't just take their time.
I think Liam Bambridge and Alex Fitzpatrick are coming up next. So
I think it's the Spanish Segunda show, yeah.
It's the Spanish Segunda show.
Yet
more Oviedo chat.
Real Oviedo chat. Fantastic,
Red hot
lads.
sizzling.
Get in there.
Thank you to everyone who has contributed. While we've been on air, we have raised over £300. So that is a magnificent effort from everyone. Thank you so much for donating. And yeah, we'll speak soon. We do a podcast, by the way, if you guys didn't know. It's called the Spanish Football Podcast, out on Spotify, wherever you get them, and listen to us. And yeah, stay here for more Spanish football chat. Thank you. Keep donating, and yeah, see you soon. Adios.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.